So earlier today I was working with Govinda on our Christmas, what we are going to do for our Christmas celebration here. And one of the things that came up is that at Christmas time, or when we have our Christmas celebration here in Christmas time, we actually worship Lord Jesus Christ as being an exalted, amazing spiritual personality. And that can be a little bit hard for some people to kind of like, or a bit puzzling, you know, it's kind of like, well, I'm into meditation stuff, but, you know, I'm not into religion, or, you know, I'm not into the idea of God, you know, it's like a, you know, I mean, the word God puts me off too, right? But, you know, so does the word boss, right? If someone's a boss, is this a bit spitty or something, or not? It's okay. You know, a boss in a company, you know, you hear the boss, right? It's not like people are attracted to go have a relationship with the boss, yeah? It's like, you know, you want to have a relationship with someone who's fun and friendly and everything, and the boss is usually somebody, maybe you don't, you know, maybe you get on really well with them, but, you know, they're the boss, right? So there's a little bit of difference in the relationship. You don't want to get necessarily too close, or, you know, or maybe they don't want you to get too close, because then it changes the dynamics of a work environment. And so, you know, the word God is basically a title for the Supreme Person. And for most of us, it probably had a bit of a bad rap, you know, like that. I don't know what you grew up with, but God definitely wasn't kind of in flavor of the month or anything. And so it's really important that we try and understand, you know, when we talk about spiritual life or talk about religion, in the Vedas there's a term called Sanatan Dharma, or Dharma, right? Your Dharma. And, you know, people hear about that within Buddhism, you know, your Dharma. And there's no actual correct translation in English for the word Dharma, but it's kind of translated as religion. But it means, Sanatan Dharma actually means your eternal religion, not what you join, not what you quit, not what you believe in or don't believe in. Sanatan Dharma means your eternal, your internal, eternal relationship with the Supreme Being. That is Sanatan Dharma. And nothing changes that. You know, like you could be a Christian in this life, or a Muslim in the next life, and a Buddhist in the next life, or whatever, you know, but your eternal relationship with the Supreme Soul actually never changes. It just has different layers of covering. You know, sometimes the layers may not be very thick, sometimes we may be really covered, because we have our own desire to be independent, our own desire to do our own will. You know, and if you're talking about even a boss in a company, you have to do what they want, right? And most people, it's kind of like, I can't wait to be in a boss's position. I don't want to do what he wants me to do, you know? Unless you happen to have a really good boss, you know? It's like, you know, can I just be boss for the day? Or, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, and that's what your kids grow up with, you know? It's kind of like, you know, your parents tell you what to do and how to do things and everything, and it's like, I can't wait to grow up and be free to choose what I want to do, right? Not have my parents tell me what to do and when to do it, when to go to bed. Can you imagine? You get told when to go to bed when you're a kid, you know? What kid wants to go to bed? Hardly any, right? It's like, I want to stay up, you know? I don't want to miss out on anything. And the parent knows better for the child's well-being, and so, you know, no, you've got to go to bed. And it's like, you know, when I get bigger, I'm going to go to bed whenever I want, you know. And then you get a job and you realise you can't go to bed whenever you want, because you've got to be able to function properly the next day. You know, so, you know, we have this idea that we want to be independent, we want to be free, and we want to, you know, make our life go our way. And you hear about the idea of God, and it's like, oh, I don't know about this, you know. Somebody else telling me what to do, or, you know, in a church, you know, they have different rules or different regulations or different things you've got to do or not do. And so people feel like generally speaking, I'm not interested. When I heard about Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it was like, oh, this is really nice. This is completely different. Krishna, God is not just a boss. Krishna is the most amazing Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's like the person with unlimited qualities of fun and joy and happiness and playfulness and jokiness and, and it's like the supreme, warm, loving, compassionate, caring person. But he doesn't interfere with our freedom. And so when someone comes to this material world, or they become enlightened while they're here, but sometimes people will descend from the spiritual world and come and try and enlighten those of us who are traveling one body after another in the material world. And they come, someone like Lord Jesus Christ, and come and teach love for God and love for all others. I mean, that's a really profound teaching. Love God and love others. Everyone, right? Treat enemies as your best friends, right? Like, just profound. Imagine, the whole world's such a crazy mess, right? Imagine if everybody took that teaching, they didn't kind of go religion or Christianity or Catholicism or whatever ism it might be, and just actually concentrate on the actual essence and the teachings of the great sages, the great souls, people like Lord Jesus Christ, who came to teach love for God and love others, right? And treat others how you'd like to be treated. And if we stopped in our daily life, all through our life, and did that, we treated others how we want to be treated, the world it'd be like the spiritual world here, apart from the weather. Do you know what I mean? If we actually took that one essential teaching. And so his teachings are incredibly profound and really very practical. And if we apply them in our life will change and we will become enlightened, we will become really, really happy because we'll be acting in our natural function, Sanatan Dharma. We'll be acting according to our eternal religion, our eternal relationship with the Supreme Person. And so when it comes to Christmas, I'm not into the presents and stuff, but I do like to honour and respect and worship and pray to Lord Jesus Christ as an amazing spiritual teacher. An amazing spiritual teacher. And his life was certainly not easy in any way, shape or form. Right? Really, really austere. And he told his followers also, it's like, come follow me. And, at one stage people were kind of like squabbling a bit over a blanket or something. And it was like, don't worry about that stuff, And it's like, well, You know what I mean? It's like, well, I just want to be comfortable and, I want this and I want that, So it's a really, really kind of austere time, but he didn't let that get in the way of teaching people about love for God. And the religious people of the time, they didn't like him at all. Because people weren't going to the temples and the churches, the establishments. They would go and listen to him speak, and they said, he doesn't speak like the scribes do. He speaks with like what they called authority, which meant like feeling. It wasn't just like, it's not a job. He's not teaching as a job. He's teaching to try and help people because he's got something that's better than anything anyone else has got, and he's trying to share that and he's trying to pass that on. So I just encourage you all, I mean, it will be Sunday the 19th of December. We will be having our Christmas celebration here. So please mark it, mark it on your calendar. But, the idea of religion, don't just kind of throw out spirituality or teachings of someone like Jesus because, we've had bad experience with the idea of religion. Yeah? Try and actually get the essence. There's an old saying, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I don't know where that came from. It's pretty radical. Like, what? But, basically it's like that, right? Don't throw out the teachings of an amazing spiritual teacher because of some ideas we have about churches and religions and stuff like that, right? So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it describes our situation. The living entity, by nature, has minute independence to choose her own good or bad fortune. Each one of us, right? We have our own independence. We have our minute independence to choose our own good or bad fortune. But when the living entity forgets her Supreme Master, the personality of Godhead, she gives herself up to the modes of material nature. That's, all the influences that we have over us every day. She identifies herself with the body, and for the interests of the body becomes attached to various activities. Sometimes the living being is under the influence of the mode of ignorance, sometimes the mode of passion, and sometimes the mode of goodness. The living entity thus gets different types of bodies under the modes of material nature. So while we're here in the material world, we're choosing how we behave, we're choosing our attitudes, and great souls encourage us to choose to love God and to love others.